No, go ahead, we can talk about it.
Good evening, 6 o'clock, stand for the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody had a chance to look at the agenda. Do we have any changes on it?
I would like to put one before we vote on number 11, executive session, so maybe before we vote on a motion. So would it be after, would it be A, somewhere in there?
We call it 11A1. Any other changes that you see? So with that said, we would need a motion to to approve the agenda with a change of 11A1 to have a executive session prior to making a motion on a decision. Hiring a police officer.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of 11A1, executive session personnel.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. We'll move on to number 4. Approve the minutes of March 6th, 2023 meetings. So we'll need a motion 4A to approve the minutes.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 6th and 20th, 2023 meetings.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. We'll move on to number 5, bid approval / award bid, Banner Engineering with Tanya.
Good evening. You all have the council letter that was sent earlier with the bid results. Yes. And the funding request from the Board of Water and Natural Resources was made at the meeting on March 30th. They did approve the reallocation of the funds from the collection system to the treatment project. So there is enough funds now to be able to support the treatment plant improvements and fund that project. Again, as we talked about the last meeting, the city is getting a very good funding package with approximately 70% grant funding. So that is very good compared to some of the other projects we're seeing across the state. So tonight we're recommending approval of the notice of award, which would award the contract to Industrial Process Technologies in the amount of $5,358,000. That includes $5,297,900 for the lump sum bid schedule 1 and the process integration fixed package, and then another $60,000 or $60,100 for the lump sum bid alternate 1, which we will determine once we drain the tank if that's needed, depending on how the mixing system works with how the concrete is configured underneath. We're just not sure enough that we'd like to have that bid alternate available in case that mixer is needed.
So would this amount include a possibility of fixing that or no?
Of the mixer, yes. If the $5,358,000 is approved, yes, that includes.
That kind of includes.
Yep, that includes that $60,000 mixer that may be needed.
Okay. So will some of this still maybe start this year? No.
Yes, I know. I talked to the contractor just this morning. He's anxious to get started. It'll take a couple weeks to get the contract documents and the performance bond and payment bond in order. But he's already starting to think about a pre-construction meeting, and I think he would like to get started in early May if possible.
Will the construction affect like our current water system? Like, is there
No,
Could be
it'll-
shut down at any point or anything?
No, you can never completely shut down a treatment facility,
Okay.
and that's part of what makes it tough to construct. And so, we've got provisions in there for things that they'll do to keep the facility running. And actually, like right now, if you had to do any maintenance on your existing tank, it would be very difficult, if not impossible. By adding that second aeration tank and providing some redundancy and increased capacity, now you'd be able to shut down a tank. So they can get the first kind of second aeration basin constructed, and then once they get that up and running, they'll be able to bypass around it and take the old one down and make the fixes to that. So, and the UV disinfection system is the other main treatment component that's going in. Disinfection is only required from April through October. So they'll be able to put that in and kind of take that portion of the plant down during the winter months and get it in. So it should not, well, it'll make city staff, you know, operation will be a little more complicated, there'll be a little more coordination. The residents of the community won't be able to notice a thing.
Well, I will make a motion to approve the bid, award the bid for Banner Engineering.
It's actually not Banner, it would be Industrial Process Technology.
And please include the amount again.
$5,358,000.
58,000.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed.
Would it be possible to get a signed notice tonight, and I'll leave a copy with the city, I'll take a copy with the city contractor. Yep. The faster I can get documents to him starting tomorrow, the faster he can get stuff together and present. All right, and then I wasn't sure what, is it, I would be council president of this month yet. After May, he'll be here. Okay. That's what I just want to be accurate. All right, thank you for your, thank you. Thank you, don't need anything for, no, okay, we're good. Thank you, guys.
Gosh, more time on the road than in a meeting.
That's okay.
So, thank you, Tanya. We'll move on to number 6, HRC discussion with Jared.
I've only got 5 copies, so I don't know if anybody wants to share. Or... Hi, good evening. So what I wanted to do, just thinking the other day that you guys no longer have Dan or Linda part of the HRC and also the council, so you guys probably aren't getting necessarily recent updates from us. I just wanted to, I don't think I've ever been here to give you guys any updates, but give you a little background on the HRC. So the HRC was created in the end of 2007 under 1177. It is a nonprofit mission separate from the city, but the city council is our governing body. So we largely operate with our own funds. Current members, I'm serving as the chairman. Nathan Beeler is the vice chair. Dan Hayter is our treasurer. Linda Talbot, our secretary, and then Katie Manning is an open member. So just a little excerpt from at the bottom of the first page from our original resolution and why we exist. And the shortage, basically number 3, I think, points it out the best, the shortage of decent, safe sanitary dwellings and accommodations in the town of Alcester. And just as a loan officer, I hear this every day. There's shortages of housing, there's a shortage of affordable housing. And we're not going to see that change anytime soon. Just a little bit statistically, compared to 2008 when we had the housing market crash, there is 50% less inventory on the market and 12 million more households. So you think about generation, the millennials, that group is all in the house buying, family starting category. So that we've obviously had a huge influx of people from other states into South Dakota. Towns right around us are experiencing the same thing. A little bit different situation each town, but you want to flip over to the second page and put a quick little history together of what we've done basically in the last 15 years. I've been on the commission since about 2015. So founded in 2007, 2009, Lee Drive condos were completed. 13, the lots on the north end of Lee Drive were sold. A new home was constructed. That would be Nathan and Amanda Wheeler's place. 2014, the engineering got started on Beck Drive through McClary's. At the end of 2015, Beck Drive was completed. We sat quiet for a little bit. First house lot was sold and new home was constructed. A little bit quiet again. 2020, we sold 2 lots, new home constructed. And then things started really picking up in 2021 or 21-22. 2 lots sold on Beck Drive, and then also another lot sold and a new home constructed. Things got really busy in 2022. Last year was a very, very busy year for us. We sold 3 lots, and this year there should be 2 new homes being built. I spoke with both of those owners, and they both are planning on starting this year. So that would be a big bonus for Beck Drive. So right now in Beck Drive we have lot number 9 left. That's our lot, that's a half-acre lot that's left there. The other project we did, we actually started on this in 2021 was the Lee Drive condos. We started looking at the future of those, and what we ended up doing after visiting with other HRCs, especially Elk Point. Elk Point has 3 identical units to these that were built prior to these. What we decided to do was to plat them out individually and then get them over into private hands. So we probably got no less than a couple hundred hours of volunteer time in getting that project done. It was a big undertaking, everything from working with the tenants and working through that transition to the sales process. So the last one was sold here this spring. So with that, I think it's a big win. There's 4 new homes on the tax rolls and in private hands. So that is a big thing. The other thing we did at the end of 2022, we identified a lot on the west side of town, and we purchased we put in an order for a governor's home. I did just visit with CCOG. Unfortunately, there's a 3-year wait time on those. Unless, I talked to Harley, she said it might be a little bit fast forward if some people fall off, but right now, 3-year wait time. So that will be going over at 205 Broad Street. We purchased that the other day from the industrial board. Also, at the end of 2022, we made a grant request to the REAP fund. That was a total of $8,000. With that, that was dispersed. For our own use, we wanted to get some funding to help with our governor's home construction. And so 2,000 of that will be going to utility hookups to our governor's home. 2,000 went to the fire department, industrial park, to the engineering. 2,000 went to the engineering expense for the Hay Meadow project, and then the housing study, 2,000 to the housing study. So, and anyway, 2023, we sold the last condo, and like I said, we purchased the Broad Street lot. So with that, if you want to hop over to the next page where there's some pictures. So all of those pictures are governor's homes from Elk Point. except the one on the far left, the small 2-bedroom home. So spent some time down in Elk Point with with Troy Donnelly, Todd Larsen from Developers, that's their HRC, and just visiting with them and what they do, and also their finance officer, Derek Tuttle. So we started that process figuring out what to do with our condos. What they ended up doing with their condos, they had 3 of them. In 2020, they sold theirs to Hotai Property Management for what they had, they still owed on them. And the city also gave them a 10-year tax abatement to make that project happen. So we were able to come out a little bit better, I think, because we hit the market at just the right time. So we're not having to make any concessions like that. The other thing that came up in visiting with them was their Governor's Home project. They have put up 6 Governor's Homes. And we spent quite a bit of time with them. We toured one of the number 6 that was under construction, visited with their contractors, and kind of basically what we're doing is trying to reprint, copy their program for the west side of town here. So a little bit of their project, what they're doing, they're putting full basements underneath them, they're putting oversized garages. And the oversized garage thought there is we got to keep stuff off the street. So I know it's a little bit more money. If you flip over to the place, there's a bar chart. So the South Dakota Governor's Home program has income caps. So what that does is essentially, if you look at the bottom there, and this was a brand new update I just noticed today. Before today, the max income if you have a family of over 2 would be $60,000. I just updated this, they just changed this. So what that does essentially is it limits how much you can spend on one of these, your total development costs. Before today, I had our total development costs at $210,000. Then when I pulled up CCOG's website, they just jumped the price of the Governor's Home up another $10,000. So 3-bedroom Governor's Home is about $85,000. So if you work backwards, there is a income limit on what, not an income, there's these income limits, but there's also a housing ratio. So no more than 31% of your income can go toward your house payment, right? So that includes your taxes and your insurance. So the good thing about this is that $68,000 really did help that top end get there. But a person with $68,000, a family with $68,000 income and no more would be kind of a rare person to get the Governor's Home sold. More than likely, you're going to end up in that second category. So what that does is that kind of limits what we can sell the home for. So there's basically a gap of about $25,000. So that's where, in following Elk Point's lead, what they've done is, number 1, they get a donation for the lot. Number 2, the city provides the utility hookup. So they bring from the curb stops to the foundation the utilities. And then, so that's breaking that gap down to where you can sell the home where the potential homeowner can afford that payment within the state guidelines. And also there are some other programs available through banks, such as first-time homeowner down payment, stuff like that, but that goes to closing costs, and there's some other programs and stuff too that Beersford has been using. So where that is getting, if you want to take out your pen and just fill in some of the gap, what we've identified to cut that gap is, and we've lined up a donation on this first lot. So that's $15,000. You put another $5,000 down for not needing to use construction financing, so that's a savings of interest. So you're looking at 8%. So that's a $5,000, and we'll be able to use our own funds now after selling the condos. And then the other thing, and this is my proposal today, that I'd like the council to take up is that on these governor's homes, you guys would consider bringing utilities to the foundation, similar to what Elk Point is doing. If you want to flip over, I've talked a little bit before about getting with a 3-year wait. We've got one in the pipeline right now, but it's not showing up until 2025. We'd like to get another one ordered. The lot that we've identified as 505 Ofsted, we potentially could put one on 204 Ofsted as well. I'm working through some of the questions right now on the sewer issue down in that end of town, trying to figure out how we would manage that. If you flip back a page, the little house, the 2-bedroom without a garage, I feel like that would be a good fit on that 50-foot wide lot at 204. But as far as the next house, we'd like to put a 3-bedroom over on 505 Broad Street, and would like the city to start working through whatever your process is of getting that available for us to purchase. We have a donation lined up. I guess my request is that we would either have a seller's concession of bringing the utilities to the foundation, or at least for this lot that you guys own. The one that we bought privately, we actually got part of the donation from the REAP fund for that, so we'll be able to take care of that on our own. So either, I know that Elk Point is doing this on all the homes for the HRC. At this point, I guess what I would ask is if we are going to purchase a lot from the city, we would ask for that seller's concession and incentive to help cut that gap down and get us to the point where we can hopefully break even and keep this program alive.
So which lot are you wanting to purchase? The 505 Ofsted or the 205?
505. We have interest, I would like to develop 504 as well. You know, realistically, what I see is ordering a governor's home maybe every year. We can't handle putting 2 of them up at one time. I know that Beersford is putting several up all at once, but that's happening with CCOG and their city. Not, I know their HRC backed away from that project because they just couldn't handle it. I feel like we can definitely do 1 a year. I think the need's there. I guess that's what I'd like for you guys to hopefully take up in one of your next meetings, and whether or not, take a look at whether or not we can move forward on that lot, and whether or not you guys are interested in kind of partnering with us to help bring that gap down.
So is it a rough estimate, 2,000 to bring utilities in?
So, no, that's what we have so far for the 205 Broad Street house. That was part of that grant. It's probably about $5,000.
It is, okay,
Yeah.
I just was
Yep.
curious.
So we actually will be making up the rest of that with, you know, putting some of our money into a CD and waiting on that a little bit with CD rates. So we'll be able to do that one ourselves, the first one. So that's how we'll be funding that.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
So the utility hookup would be water, sewer, electric, is that part of it?
Bring the electric to the foundation. At least that's what the Elk Point City Council has been doing for their HRC. Okay. So it's been a really good program for them down there. They've utilized the same contractors. It's been really smooth. All the homes have sold before they were completed. So I think the demand's here too. I don't see that going away. The other thing, just thinking about this other side of town, had calls today on a home that was selling in Beersford. There's a lot of homes on the old side of Beersford that are getting flipped by realtors, contractors, do-it-yourselfers. It's just not happening over this side of town. And I think part of it, we don't have a lot of craftsman style homes, the older homes that are worth fixing up. But the other thing we need to do is kind of work toward more home ownership. Yeah, Katie and I did a quick count of this side of town, and as of about a year ago, there were 37 rental houses out of 200. That's a little bit higher than normal percentage. Which, that's not all bad, but certainly getting a new home built is going to create some more tax revenue and obviously a home for a family. I've talked to a worker today, somebody who's employed in town today. They're living in a one-bedroom apartment in town. Their family is growing and they can't find anything. They may leave. We don't have a place. The school's struggling for places for teachers. I don't know where the new cop is going to live. Is he going to live in town or some other place? Those things, we need homes. And quite frankly, building brand new homes is just way too expensive.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our proposal that I'd like you guys to consider. I'm pretty excited about it, our group. I think we've got a really good group in place. I think we can at least probably do one a year, as long as we can have available lots and so forth. So, what questions do you guys have?
I don't have really any. Jared and I have talked about this prior to this meeting, so I think it sounds like the HRC has done a lot of work for the city, just helping out, doing things as your own foundation, and I do appreciate that. So.
Is there something I could bring up, or is that not allowed?
Yeah, that's fine.
So if you can identify the people that are presently renting, is there something that you guys can do to get information in their hands and to let them know that you possibly could help them get into these homes?
Sure, yeah.
A reach out program like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the city has a really good website, and on there's a housing section. That's as we've kind of divided some of these tasks in our group. Nathan is probably going to do some of our marketing and stuff like that. There's a lot of places in town to advertise housing. The bank does. The city has a site on houses. The city has a section on their site on which houses are available. I think that it's going to be it's probably going to go quicker than there'll probably be more people interested than we can accommodate. So.
Well, I think we'll look into what it's going to take. I think we have to offer that surplus property, and then we'll have to take a sealed bid or however we have to do it.
Sure. Just looking at that process so we can, like I said, we have a donation set up, an agreement already for the next lot that comes up.
So like, how soon?
How soon?
Within a month? Would it be good to know within this month?
I would say that, whenever it would be nice to know fairly soon.
Okay.
Not so much that I'm worried about the lot is when we ordered the governor's home, there is a set of covenants that goes with an address.
Okay.
And for example, you can't sell the governor's home within 3 years because, it's provided at a discount. So people can't just buy one and flip it, right? So there's covenants that go with this, so the property has to be identified. Okay. So the sooner we get one ordered, the last one I ordered was $75,000. Today I opened it up and they were $85,000.
Yeah.
And a 3-year wait. So
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, with that being said, we'll move on to number 7, one more bar. 7A is the July street dance discussion.
Well, I'm here as a spokesperson since Mr. Framboys is at work. But pretty much we had a little hiccup where Weston Frank had something come up. He said he's no longer available to do the 22nd. Due to that, we have required Jeff Coos for the weekend after, which is July 29th. So pretty much everything is the same now. We proposed it, except different artists, and I'd argue, more popular artists. And then it's just 1 week after instead.
When was it?
July 29th.
Everything else will be the same.
Yeah, everything else is the same, so I should have brought the copies back so you guys could relook at it, but everything's the same except the artist is different and one weekend bump back.
And I did put an aerial shot of Second Street and the shelf in that podium.
Okay.
So you could indicate what exactly you want blocked off and where.
Well, I think, if I could find a pen, I could probably.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. I'll make a little copy for you. I think with the bigger artists, we're probably gonna scratch the car show. Try to make the logistical a little bit easier and make it run more smoothly. So, does everybody have a map?
Yes.
Okay. So Second Street, west, be right at the Iowa Street, right on the west side of the bar there. We wanna block that off, that's gonna be where the stage is gonna be. We're gonna have firefighters, like I said, for security as well as working with law enforcement. So we're gonna have, and obviously keep them, it's pretty much just gonna be a barricade for emergency exits as well, you know, if something happens. And then it'd be right on the east side of the So Storm quilt. It's pencil.
So basically all the parking spot areas.
Yep.
What happens, Austin, if whoever's taking gate, you know, doing the gate admission or whatever, let somebody through, that person is not of age, or something happens with that person, who's gonna fall back on?
Well, first off, there is gonna be insurance for that. What happens is it's gonna fall back on that person, number one, which we are gonna look into getting an ID scanner as well. And kind of going through, and, you know, I have more knowledge with fake IDs than a lot of people, I guess, so we're gonna go through those gatekeep people, I'm gonna run them through them, mitigate that as much as possible. You know, obviously, there's gonna be that risk, but we're gonna mitigate it to where we don't have any, you know, I can't for sure say that, but I know we're gonna have a law enforcement presence. We're gonna have security presence to mitigate everything like that.
Okay, I know, I'm sure we'll have law enforcement on here, like you say, but county can help out at all.
I've already briefed the sheriff as well, so
Okay.
I'm sure they will.
Great.
So like what time does it start?
And we're gonna 6 PM and then 2 AM, we're gonna start cleanup.
Oh.
Well, any other questions or discussion for him? So we would need a motion on 7B to approve the change from July 22nd to July 29th. No car show, of course.
I'll make a motion to approve the July street dance from July 27th to July 29th with no car show from 6 PM to 2 AM.
I will second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then any questions or anything, you know, I'm sure I'll stay in touch with everybody, so thank you guys.
We'll move on to number 8, public input.
I have public input. I mean, to go back to the dammed up road, or I'm sorry, excuse me, dammed up creek, SCS. I've given the mayor a document, I will leave one. When the resolution had to go to the county commissioners. they approved the annexation and they amended it to include all adjoining roads. So that means Iowa. There's also been discussion about the culverts. I'm in the process of getting more information on that. But that should have been attached to the cities. I'm not sure that the city has it or it was lost. But I have the documents here. I have the documents where the county commissioners approved the annexation with the proviso of to include all adjoining roads. And I also have the minutes of the next one that approved those minutes of this
So what's that
amended.
mean, Vickie?
I'm sorry, what?
What's that mean exactly then?
They amended what you guys gave them to
Right.
include all roads. So that means Iowa Street that would be
And
annexed in.
And the county one?
And the county part, yeah.
Okay.
So that's all being annexed in. And that was included in their approval. They voted, and then I have where the minutes were approved in this document, and Lucas has that. And I am already working, because I've already had things in the works, to the folks that I've been in touch with, had spoken to FCS about that small culvert and road built over that creek. And they told this person that they didn't need that road anymore and they were going to be taking it out. And this was about 5 years ago, and it's still there. So I'm going to move forward, and they will either fix it or, because it will flood. I have pictures.
Is that more west
It's just about a block west of Iowa.
of Iowa?
Yep, yep, and it's a small size metal culvert.
Yeah.
It's not the big one.
Yeah.
There, on the website, I was looking at keeping up on the moving of the meeting, and there was some misinformation on the website, and you each got a copy of that, that the next meeting was in 2027, and that's still up on the website.
We're just gonna take a little break. It's been a tough year.
Now, I'm going to take you down memory lane on the bar manager, back in the day, when my husband was on city councilman, that in this, it's referencing the community center, having managers. And this was before Lefty leased the bar. They had a manager. And the city council was in the bar where it is now, with no air conditioning, and they were doing an inventory. And they had the bottles set out on the pool table, and they were in a 90-degree building or 100-degree building, and they were eyeing the liquor to see how much was used and stuff. And there came a time when there were two councilmen that almost came to blows. And we lost a mayor over that deal, and so the thing is no more managers for the city council to mess with and to have. And the city council shouldn't be having to go in and work in their off time. You guys are here for this meeting. You have some side things, duties, but you shouldn't be having to go in and wait tables at some slipshod restaurant or whatever. If you'd like to speak to these people, Mr. Waltz was the mayor at the time, and he left. Because, like I said, we had a couple council members come to blows. It was tough having a manager. And I don't see where it's improved at all. I mean, now you've got two managers to mess with. And you've got an iffy situation. And it was Mr. Quick, Mr. Kroger, Mr. Scott. I can pull them up, and I will be in a future blog. But it's just for you guys, it's information. It's been done, and every time somebody, after that incident, that anytime somebody mentioned about putting a manager instead of leasing a public building or whatever that remember when, kind of like remember the Alamo kind of situation. And you guys you don't need that. You're in an administrative capacity, not a fall-in person to pick up where you couldn't get help or whatever. That's not, and again, it's my opinion, get rid of the bar. The city gets nothing out of it for property taxes. They get a lot of grief managing it. And you guys you're being put into the position of being manager. In fact, you've got it on the agenda, getting a report on the community center. You know, why this shouldn't be happening. So those are the things, and like I said, this is the another copy of the resolution.
Ms. Larsen, there is no mention of 2027 on the website. I have it up here.
Yeah, I pulled it off the website.
Well, I will.
They've got the paper that I pulled it off.
There's no 2027 listed. So
Well,
this
I
is-
can't help it. I pulled it off.
This is under the welcome, and there's the notice, 2023, 2023. And then if you go to council.
I downloaded this today. Check your records.
That has nothing to do with the council meeting.
It's bad information on the website.
But it has
If you
nothing
can't
to
do your job, quit.
It has nothing to do with the council meeting.
It has to do with the website of the council. The council, it's your job to take care of it and get it right.
Thanks, Vickie. Anyone else on public input? Go ahead, Rhonda.
Hi. I realize I don't live here in Alcester, but I am vested in it because I work at the clubhouse. And I know there's been changes and things going on at the clubhouse and all that. And there's rumors flying all around and everything like that. And I just want to kind of put my input into the fact that I've heard that possibly closing it down, this or that, or what have you. I know that they've been thinking about raising prices again. I think raising prices on our menu again would be a very bad decision. I think our prices are great comparatively to any place around that you're going to get food. I know that Landon and Kelsey, they've been working their butt off to try to get things. I know doing the lunch specials has helped, doing the dinner, because I'm there almost every single shift. I work almost every shift that we're open. And so, I mean, I see on a daily what's going on and what's not going on and things like that. And they're coming up with good ideas to make the changes. And when you open a restaurant, statistically, you're not going to see a profit for 3 to 5 years, period. I mean, to see one prior to that, it's usually a minimum of 2. And I know that you guys are worried about cutting costs. I know there's other ways that they've been trying to get costs cut that haven't. We've got a lending company that charges us way too much money that we can't get rid of because they're threatening to sue if we cancel them. And so, I mean, there's things like that in my opinion, it would benefit to have those kinds of things handled. The fact that the building's got, all kinds of lovely things going on with it. I mean, I'm sure you guys only have a set amount of time to have these people make corrections to this stuff before we're not going to be able to get it fixed. And, I mean, I love working there. It's a great place. I think it's great for this town. I talk to our customers on a daily basis. I hear their feedback. I hear what they have to say. And very few people in this town have anything negative to say about that place at all. Everything you're going to hear is positive, and they like having it. And right now, we're in our dead season. Course is going to open soon. You guys are going to see changes. I know you guys made a bunch of cuts with labor and stuff like that. There's no way that at the end of March we didn't see some improvement. I mean, I don't see how it could be possible. And I just, like I said, I just wanted to say that Kelsey, they're working their butts off. They're doing the best they can. And I don't really see that there's anything else that they can be doing right now that they're not doing. And I mean, you guys got to give them a minute. I know every time we mention that restaurants don't make a profit in the beginning, everybody's like, I know, but then it's like, give them a minute. They're going to be okay, and everything's going to be fine. And I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that they're working their ass off, and they need to have the time because they just took over. It's only been what, a couple months? Yeah, so that's really not that long. And I mean, and I know it took you guys a couple months to figure out how things needed to change and what we needed to do to make the changes. I know they finally started portioning the stuff, and so that it's consistent. We have consistency across the board with everything. They take inventory now. None of that was done before. None of these things were done prior. Knowing what we were selling, the amounts of what we were selling, none of that was tracked, none of it. And now, I think they've got everything in place to be doing that, from what I can tell. I mean, when we open new things, we write it down, things like that. And I think you just need to give them a minute. They're trying, and they're working hard, and they're gonna get it where you guys want it to be. You just gotta give them a minute. And I just wanted to say that, because I really like working for both of them, and I think it's a great place. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, honey.
Any other public input?
Yeah, I have a question, I guess, more or less. Thank you for following up on your question.
No,
I asked you
that's
the other
fine.
week. Sorry, my voice is kind of poor. I had asked her after the meeting, basically, like when people stand up for public input, kind of what happens with that information. Partly just curiosity, but now that I've sat in and I do watch the blogs that she posts, so I've been watching the meetings for quite some time. Just kind of where that information goes and the follow through with it. And I'm still really curious as to know like what happens with that input. So like the one situation I gave you, you went and found the answer and brought it back. But like with all of the situations, obviously some, like her coming up here and there was no direct question to ask, it was just purely input. But like things like, sorry, like the last week when I watched the video, like somebody had mentioned to you about like live streaming. So you brought that as public input, but then like where does it go after that? Whose responsibility is it? Like, do you bring it to like a council and that's where it's discussed, or, because I think that's like a really great idea, but like if it doesn't happen in a month, like who do I follow up with? Or, you know, like where do those answers come from? So I just, to the council, I'm just curious, like what do you guys do like after this meeting closes? And then like how does that come back to the city? So like it's public knowledge.
Well, to answer that, I would say most of the time we talk after the meeting, throughout the week, we reach out to who we need to look into doing whatever steps we need to take next. And then we'll make a decision or wait on a decision that we could make if we can make that. And part of the time we make decisions and we do move forward with questions, but we don't publicize it. And if people want to know, half the time they should just come to the council meeting and ask, or just do a follow-up. Because I mean, it's hard to get everything relayed to the community. You know what I'm saying? We could post a few things in the newspaper, but not a lot of people read the newspaper. You know, a handful do, and a handful, you know, it's the media.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know if that answers all your question. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just feel like, and it's not on any of you, it's just a
Yep.
general question.
No.
Like I've really like looked into it and other city councils, like how they do it, because I just feel like obviously I'm not here, I have 3 kids at home, I can't be here every, you know, time, or if I get home from work late or whatever, I'm not able to make it to the meeting. So, and since you guys don't live stream it, I do try and watch it as soon as she puts it up. But you know, if that doesn't always happen or whatever the case may be, like just trying to get that information, I do read it if it's not up or whatever. But just like coming back around to that, like even if it could be posted like with the minutes, just like, I don't know, say tonight there was 4 public inputs, if there are any answers to them, could it be like added, just a short little blurb like, she spoke with this person, it was determined that they contacted the family, then it's done with. So we just like kind of have the resolution to the answer. And if it can't be done, then that would be on my part, like to come back and ask you guys like, hey, what was done with this? I haven't heard anything or seen anything. Did somebody do something? If I really have a vested interest in that topic, is that a possibility? I just feel like there's a lot of things discussed that from an outside perspective never come full circle.
I will say that since I've been on the council, I do reach out to different people that do speak at public input. And the public input, I mean, I put a lot of hours into researching people's concerns. From the last meeting to this meeting, I have 29 hours in researching things for the city.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not my full-time job, but I want to do my best for everyone in the city to please them. And I would like to be able to do a better job on relaying and getting it back to the citizens on what people's concerns are. But I mean, we just can't get everything, I mean, we're short, some older men. So I mean, if we could just get a bigger group here, I think we could do a better job that way too, because we just have that one more person to reach out to
Okay.
whoever that person may need or have a question. But the people that do have a concern, I do reach out to them personally.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
try to anyway.
Yeah, and like for me, I don't have any personal concerns,
Yep.
so I don't expect you to like reach back out to me, but
Yep.
sometimes I just think things are interesting. Like a couple weeks ago, somebody said there was a complaint about a pig. Like, what happened with that? Like, that's really interesting. Like, I didn't even know somebody had a pig in town, and I've lived here for 5 years now. Like, you know, just simple things like that. Like, is it a pressing matter? Not at all.
It's an
But it is
emotional
just,
support pig.
huh?
It's an emotional support pig.
Yeah, so like even that, like, if that's true, that'd be super cool. I have no idea. Just things like that. It isn't anything like wrongdoing on your part. It's just a curiosity and how that communication could be streamlined, especially in today we're moving from like an older style and an older group of people who probably were on the council to a younger generation to where we see things on media. And because like you're right, I don't even know where the newspaper like is except at the grocery store. So no offense, I just don't. I know it's at the grocery store and that's about it. I see everything on social media, and if I can watch it or read it on, you know, online, then that's what I'm gonna do. So I was just curious as if there was anything that could be done to just bring some things full circle, and maybe. I think there's a lot more people out there looking in than are at this meeting. And if it was more public knowledge as just kind of where those things, then maybe it'd be like, oh, I remember that. I could come to the council and bring it up again, or, you know, whatever. Maybe get more people interested. Because honestly, that's how I got interested, was a Facebook post. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I should start showing up because it's important. So,
It is.
yeah, but thank you.
What was your name?
Kendra
Kendra?
Hatley, Hatle.
If I may, I spoke to Abby, and there is I gave her a YouTube on how to do live streaming. I sent her that information, and she was going to look into it, so
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, and I don't even think it has to be a video because, I mean, honestly, looking at you guys is great and all, but it's not a necessity to see you guys sitting here, so even just an audio of it, I think would be great, because I literally put my phone on. I drive back and forth to Sioux Falls every day, so I just put on my phone on and listen to it while I drive there, and then finish it on my way home and get the information that way. So, I mean, I just think it's nice. But
Super.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public input?
I just had one phone call today. There's a little bit of concern that a past police officer was seen unlocking the door. And I said I'd look into it, so, but they know they think if they're not employed here anymore, they shouldn't be going in.
So I'm assuming this is a deputy, one of our old officers.
Yeah.
Any other public input? I do have public input myself. Jason Westcott reached out to Pat Cast, our fire chief, and I guess the key points in this document, I'm just going to read this real quick. Union County Dispatch will activate the outdoor warning siren in an affected city during the following weather situations. A tornado warning issued for the city or the county, extreme winds up to 70 miles per hour, large hail, golf ball size or bigger, at the request of trained storm spotter reporting an active tornado during special emergencies detailed in the best practice documents during a monthly test set to occur at 11 a.m. the first Tuesday of every month. So if you hear the tornado sirens going off, it is the county that's going to be activating them, not the fire department. So just, Jason was kind of thinking, a lot of these emergency managements have been thinking that the weather down in Kansas has been moving a little bit further north, so the straight line winds, the dust storms that they get do a lot of damage, and they just want to try to alert citizens, people on what may be coming in. It may not necessarily be a tornado, but there is a concern if they are sounded.
Is the fire department still gonna exercise the sirens on Monday night?
They're talking about trying to, yeah. May not, but this is just an email that Pat Cast had just got yesterday morning, I believe. 3:30, he ended up getting it. So I just wanted to bring that to the public's attention.
So when the siren goes off now, is that strictly weather, isn't it?
Yep,
Or testing.
Yeah,
on a Monday night.
but it is basically just for weather.
Yep. And then also, myself being on the street department, I know a lot of people hopefully will watch this video, but I'd like the trash cans moved off the street. After the garbage truck is done with Tuesday mornings, let's get them moved. I want these streets cleaned up. When Lonnie's out street sweeping, I want to clean the streets. You know, we want to do a proper job. It's just like snow removal, same thing. So I'd like the trash cans moved. So that's all I have. Any other public input? Alrighty. We'll move on to number 9, Community Center Golf Course. Landon.
All right, first off, I just want to say thank you to Rich Ackland and the pickleball players for a great event on Saturday night and their donation from the golf course from the live auction. On the right side, the mics work for the auctioneer.
Oh, good.
So hopefully they work tomorrow night for our district meeting at the event hall. I think we're starting to pick up again as weather approaches. Last weekend, we had a roughly $6,000 weekend. We just need to keep staying positive for a sales increase. It will come. I mean, golf is right around the corner, events are coming. And then we have an event tomorrow, and our first wedding is Friday. April is steady for events, as we have another wedding this month, bridal shower, Alcota training school lunch. And May is also steady with 2 graduations, birthday party, baby shower, and the school employee banquet. And we also have a Alliance customer meeting, come and go, meet and greet thing. We're gonna do refreshments for them. As Rhonda stated earlier, we started nightly specials. We try to post them on Facebook early afternoon so people can get a chance to see what we're having. We now have video lottery. They came last Thursday morning. We have 2 machines located in the bar area. They were pretty steady over the weekend, so hopefully they stay steady. Pat and I received an email last week regarding a website for facility. He's located at a Sioux Center. His name is Travis Olson. I'd like to have a meeting with him to see what he has to offer for us. I think it would be a great idea to get a website, especially for the event side, to book weddings and so. And then also Kelsey, Pat, and I met with Fast Signs a couple weeks ago to get some ideas for signage by the road. He's going to send us some quotes over to Pat to see what we can do there. But that's all I got for tonight for updates. Any questions?
Just keep plugging them up.
We're trying.
When does golf start? Right.
Hopefully soon.
They haven't even set yet, right, because of the weather?
Usually men's league have a meeting soon, because they start first week in May.
Lonnie did ask me today about age limit on the course. What are we doing on that? For, you know, the kids driving, I think we moved it to 18. Yeah, I think you talked about it last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was 18. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of upset parents, and there'll probably be memberships elsewhere. I mean, we need to keep our members here. I don't.
What was the problem with them being 16?
Out of control.
The 16-year-old?
Just screwing around.
Yep. Going over bunkers, just going all over. They don't even golf, they're just out there
We're
driving golf
looking
carts.
at the swimming pool getting cut and dried rules. And when the parents get their season pass, they have to sign for that paper. And it's saying they've read the rules. Maybe we're gonna have to do something like that with the golf course.
Yeah.
If we let it go to 16 and they're caught screwing around, maybe we'll have to say, would something like that work?
Were 16-year-olds the issue or for 13-year-olds?
Yeah, I thought it was the
13
younger.
to 16, it's always after that school Wednesday out,
I know.
1:30 or.
Can it be 14? Could we say, if they can drive, they're 14?
I think there should just be a policy, you know, and if it's 14 and on up, they get caught, you know, they're done. I mean, there's a worker here in town that has come to me, and he says, you know, there's late nights that I'm watching adults that are drinking, and they're absolutely whipping donuts on the cars, and they're adults. So what are we gonna do with them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a driver's
We gotta
license
keep
on
it
their
fair to
own.
everyone.
I mean, I know we can't control it all, because, I mean, we don't have somebody enforcing out on the course, but I think we gotta look at options, because we can't be losing members over upset parents that, you know, if their kids are out of control, yeah, then they're gonna have to be kicked off the course, but, you know what, we need to deal with it maybe in a different manner.
I mean, Kelsey and I talked about doing like a check-in, they clock, or check-in at 1:30, if they're not checked in yet at 3, we'd go find what's going on, keep their drivers like, I don't know what we'll do. Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
We have to think of something, because I would hate to lose, you know, golfers because their kid, who wasn't bad, couldn't drive anymore. I mean, I know we have some hoodlums, as most,
Just a few.
as most cities do, but they can't ruin it for everybody. And we can't really afford to lose people over, you know, especially if their kids are good kids.
Lonnie did all, he asked if there was a golf course club member meeting coming up or scheduled. He was kind of curious about that. He hasn't
The
heard.
advisory board?
What's that?
The advisory board?
I don't know. He was just saying that there's usually a meeting every spring.
Oh, the men's
For all the
league,
members.
Men's and women's, but I don't think it's scheduled.
The men usually schedule all the meetings.
Yeah.
I would think the lawyer could speak to this. I know when I was a policeman over in Iowa, it didn't matter what kind of motorized vehicle you're on, that, I would assume, would include a golf cart, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's motorized. If they're out there and they're drunk, they ought to be made aware of the fact that they could be charged.
Well, it has to be considered a public roadway. In South Dakota, I would argue that a golf course is not technically a roadway. It's public property, no doubt about that. But as far as actually policing that, you're gonna run into some difficulty with that. Because then who's actually policing it to the point if you're trying to assess criminal issues? I would tend to agree more with the idea of creating a policy that if people are getting drunk and rambunctious, then you're looking at reprimands from the city, whether that's a ban from the golf course or something to that variety.
How about the age of golf cart drivers? 14?
I mean, just liability wise, I would argue they have to be a reasonable age, so I would argue that 14 is probably the age that I would recommend, just to make sure your liability is covered. You could even go up to 16. I'm trying to think, because I've worked in Vermillion at the golf course there. I believe it's 16 is the age you have to be to drive a golf cart.
Somebody else told me that too.
You can be 14, or you have to be with
With
a
a parent.
parent or somebody that you normally be allowed to drive with on a road.
You need to pull their liability insurance, because from where I live, I watch the kids go in the cemetery, scream around in there, cut across the back between the two ball fields, and hit the golf course from the east side. And I can see them, I watch them. And one kid I saw, and I stopped him and took my life in my hands, but he was a fourth grader. He was a fourth grader, and Dad was just sitting in a backyard. And I told the kid, go tell your dad that Vickie Larsen talked to you and that she will be contacting him. But this was a fourth grader, and he was on a golf cart, a private golf cart. And a lot of these, some of them aren't licensed, but I just pull their liability insurance and I need your liability insurance, what's your policy number, and do it that way. Scare the crap out of them.
Well, and even then, if you have a kid that's not being supervised and doing stuff like that, some of that liability is going to fall back on the parent. Because they're the ones in charge of supervising their children. So if that occurs, then I would look more towards the parents.
If something happened on the golf course because of a minor, would any of that come back on us?
And I guess I'm just kind of playing the hypothetically here. What age are we talking? Just somebody that would have the ability to go out there?
Like Vickie said, I
Probably
think I
age
know who you're
12.
talking about.
But if we're talking
11,
age,
12,
if we're talking
yeah.
age 12 or something like that, we're talking somebody that wasn't supervised. So say somebody goes in and then goes out there, now if we have somebody trespassing on the golf course when they're not supposed to be, because even if you consider it public property, you still have to, I would argue you have to have a license, because you have to pay to go out and play golf and things like that. If you have somebody that's going out there at a time that it's restricted, you're almost to the point you're trespassing on the property.
Okay, there was an incident that I specifically watched these, and they were young kids, like maybe 12 at the oldest. And he went flying on his own personal golf cart, but he went flying, like what you said, from the back end of the east end of it. And then he went flying down, and it goes, the grass goes down. And he just went flying, and this little kid almost fell out. Now, who would be responsible? Would that be on them? But they were on the golf course.
We're talking somebody that would be allowed to use a golf cart, or somebody that's not
No.
allowed? We're talking somebody that just,
Probably because his parent is a member. I'm guessing they're a member.
And they're using their parents' cart.
then
Yeah, they are
I would,
using
then I
the
would
parents'
agree that if it's a member, then you make members sign an agreement saying, hey, you are responsible for any liability that comes from your family members or other people using a cart in a reckless manner.
I think that
Is
should
there
be
currently
on.
anything in place as far as when people sign up for a membership, they gotta sign any type of waivers or anything like that?
Just a cart storage.
We need to come up with
We need something
something
like that.
legal.
Kinda like the pool rules, like we got
Yeah.
that in place, we need that for the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be something that the parents would sign to essentially make sure that, hey, if you're not agreeing with these terms, then the city has the right to pull your membership, I think is what your recourse would be there.
Well, because I was even talking to someone who worked at the golf course, and they said when school gets out early, they think it's a free-for-all to come to the golf course, and they just jump on a cart.
And that's what we had last year.
Yeah, and they said, you have to pay. You know, they just think they can just go out there like it's, going to the park. You know what I mean? So that's where we got it somehow.
And potentially that's something that you're gonna look towards the city. You need to actually police that. And if somebody's coming out there and they don't have a membership, nor did they pay, then hey, you gotta be removed.
Okay.
Any other discussion or questions for Landon?
Thank you.
Thank
you.
We'll move on to number 10, legal updates with Austin.
I just have the resolutions which we discussed last time, Resolution 2023-03 and 2023-04, essentially repealing both of the on-call policies, one in the Alcester police policy and one in the Alcester personnel manual. This would just be a full repeal. The section would stay in the manual, it would just be repealed. If in the event the city wanted to amend it and reinsert the original language or amend it in any way, it would still be possible.
Well, I think we've already had a discussion on it in the past meeting, so now you see it on paper. If there's no other discussion, we'll need a motion to approve 10B, motion to approve the resolution number 2023-03, a resolution of the City of Alcester repealing section 2.5 of the City of Alcester Police Policy and Procedure Manual.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-03, a resolution of the City of Alcester repealing Section 2.5 of the City of Alcester Police Policy and Procedure Manual.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. We'll move on to 10C. This is the other one.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-04, a resolution of the City of Alcester repealing policy 5.6 of the City of Alcester Personnel Manual 2020 edition.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. 10D, any other legal updates? Okay, thank you. Move on to number 11, Police Department. We'll move on, we'll go to 11A, discussion. So I know we have had some interviews, and I think we're here tonight to try to make a decision on hiring a chief. So,
So I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
that'd be 11A1.
Okay, SDCL 125-21, personnel.
Well, when you leave, I lost.
Oh, I'll second.
I was trying to do, even though you don't read
Any other discussion?
Who seconded, please? I'm sorry.
Cindy.
Thank you.
it. I'm pretty sure it's
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
you get it in 3 places.
Motion has passed. We're in executive session at 7:12
I
PM.
apologize.
We are out of executive session at 7:44 PM. And we are now going to move on to 11B.
I will make a motion to hire Jared Thompson as Chief of Police at the pay rate of $27 an hour, effective immediately with the contingency of him accepting our offer.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. We'll move on to number 12, wastewater facility plant bill approval.
So we have 3 months, the January through March engineering work that was done on the wastewater plant. The bills total $18,417.55.
I'll make a motion to approve Banner Engineering at $18,417.55 for the engineering costs, January through March. Sewer fund, it will come out of the sewer fund.
I'll second that.
You have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. We'll move on to 13, council meeting date change. 13A is the discussion of this, which is, I guess the situation is, why it's getting brought to the council is, I'm on the fire department, and our meeting is first and third, as well as the city council of the month on Monday nights. So I guess I would like to attend more of my fire department meetings. Didn't know if there was any concerns or questions, if it'll be a situation where we can move it to Tuesday night, first and third Tuesday.
Okay.
So, still be the same time, it just, I don't know if it's an option or not, so.
I don't,
I'd be all right with it, 'cause I think
I'd
the
be-
school board meets on Monday nights too, so it'd be nice to
Yeah.
be able to hit one of those once in a while.
So you want to move it to Tuesday?
First and third Tuesdays of the month.
And this is in our ordinances, so that's why the motion doesn't just go ahead and approve it. Austin will have to draft.
We have to draft an amendment to ordinance 1.0202.
Well, I have a motion to approve city attorney to draft a resolution to update city ordinances, the council meeting date change to the first and third Tuesdays of the month.
Second
Any other discussion?
One thing I do, because in our ordinances, it says, and potentially, it has a time, what time that,
At the same time.
6 p.m.
Yep. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. Move on to number 14, finance office updates.
Just wanted to let you know, the District 3 meeting is gonna move forward, so it will be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. All of you have a ticket, so you are encouraged to come. At first, we didn't think we were gonna have representation for Pier because of the blizzard that they're in, but there's a gentleman from Yankton that will run the meeting, so we will have a legislative update at that meeting. The advertising has went out for the golf position, the landfill opened. I don't know, I didn't talk to Mitch if he actually went out there on April 1st, but the landfill is open now, or will be open now. And that's it. I had some publications that went to the paper for the month of April, so it's also the maintenance publication you'll see as well for mowing your lawns.
The dumpsters are coming to town. Do we have a date on that?
I haven't scheduled that because I've been waiting to see what this weather's going to do. I did have a request to get them around the 20s of April if Lauren is available, so as soon as I talk with Lauren, I will let you guys know. And they will be here for 3 weeks in the spring, 3 weekends in the spring.
So we'll need a motion to approve March warrants as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve March warrants as presented.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. 14C, the performance reviews. Abigail and Lonnie. Abigail is half a year, Lonnie's the full year. And then, of course, monthly spot checks that we need to get done before the audit. And then 14D, the reminders and updates, the district meeting like Pat said, and which is April 5th, 2023, 6 p.m. And then city council meeting, April 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
So this month is still on
Yeah.
It won't change until after,
2 readings.
Awesome.
yep, 2 readings.
So, with that being said, we'll move on to number 15, executive session if needed. We'll scratch that. We'll move on to last, need a motion to adjourn council.
I'll make a motion to adjourn council.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are adjourned at 7:52 p.m.